AEW Full Gear 2021 is in the books, and I've got to say, overall, I thought that this was a really good show. There gives a little bit of minor critique, though. I mean, these shows that are about 4.5 hours of pure wrestling, there is a bit of burnout which does come with these shows. Some of the matches for me did go on a little bit too long, but overall I thought there were about at least 3-4 fantastic encounters that could even go down as potential match of the year worthy when we look at things towards the end of the year. But here, without further ado, is my review of AEW Full Gear 2021. Starting off then with the buy-in, then we had Kuroshida and Thunder Rosa picking up the victory over Jamie Hayter and Nyla Rose. This was pretty good to actually build up for the TBS Championship quarterfinal matches, which will be starting this week on Dynamite. Of course, Kuroshida will be taking on Nyla Rose in the first match of the quarterfinals. Serena Deeb was sitting at ringside, did actually pose a distraction for Hikaru Shida, and she was hit with a kendo stick from the back on her leg. The leg was a focus for a number of the match, but Jamie Hayter and Thunder Rosa wrote themselves out of the match, brawling on the floor, and we saw Kuroshida picking up the victory with a roll-up, countering an attack from Nyla Rose. But all in all, you start off the night with getting the baby faces over, the fans are happy, we've warmed everybody up, let's get straight in with the main show. Which kicked off with my favourite match of the night, actually, a 22-minute match between Darby and MJF. Of course, Darby known for his reckless abandon, MJF known for his talking skills. This was a straight-up wrestling match, a one-upsmanship in many different formats. I loved it, the way they sort of used that time to perfection as well. Darby Allin missing a coffin drop at one point, his sort of reckless abandon taking over, landing on the sort of hardest part of the ring apron. MJF looking to take advantage of this, but his knee was playing up for a lot of the match as well, hitting I believe a tombstone at one point on the hardest part of the ring as well, which really showed a lot of pain towards that knee, both of them just about narrowly getting in before the 10 count. This match would carry on towards where we're getting near a finish, and of course you think, so there's no shenanigans, there's no of the Pinnacle, there's none of Sting. Well, I'll tell you what, yes, they start coming down the ring. We see Shawn Spears and Wardlow, but Sting attacks from behind, make sure that there's no interference. At this point then, we see MJF looking like he can't put Darby Allin away, but he ends up bringing in the skateboard to the ring, gives it to Darby Allin, wants to be hit by this skateboard to win by DQ. Darby is tempted but gives it to the referee. At this point, both of them are distracted. At that point, MJF picks up the diamond ring, puts it on his hand, and then hits Darby Allin with that diamond ring, knocking him unconscious. And then, as promised at the start of the match, he would win with a side headlock into a pin, which of course, once you've been hit with a diamond ring, any move can do the damage and you pick up the victory. MJF has got a lot of bragging to come on Dynamite. This could be a lot of fun watching where this is going to be going forward after this. This for me was absolutely fantastic. Next, with the AEW World Tag Team Championships, the Lucha Bros retaining over FTR. I love the chemistry between these two teams, the high-flying, zero fear of Penta and Phoenix against the traditional in-ring style of the AAA Tag Team Champions of FTR. This match was fantastic, some couple of really interesting spots as well, particularly loved where Phoenix is on the top rope and we see Penta holding Dax Hardwood in the pile driver position. Phoenix jumps up the top rope to land onto them, to then jump off and then hit a crossbody onto Cash Wheeler, and then we see the pile driver hit. There's just a beautiful looking spot there. But as we get towards the end of the match, it was kind of a sharp finish between this, and again, another lengthy tag team match, but it was kind of an abrupt finish. We see Cash Wheeler, who's not the legal man in the ring, put on one of the green masks. Of course, that's what they wore when they won the AAA Tag Team Championships from the Lucha Bros a few weeks ago on Dynamite. Of course, Cash Wheeler not being the legal man, as I said, he ends up getting pinned by the Lucha Bros by their finisher. It was just a bit weird and a bit abrupt. I kind of expected the referee to sort of like work out that it wasn't the legal man and restart the match. Whether that kind of would still mean that Lucha Bros would retain the championships afterwards remains to be seen, but this clearly isn't finished as a program. It's going to continue on a little bit longer. Perhaps it's going to involve the AAA Tag Team Championships from here onwards. I'd be interested to see what the direction is next, but this was a very good match, but a bit of a weird finish. Next, Bryan Danielson won the World Title Eliminator Tournament final, defeating Miro. This match was good, but didn't quite live up to my expectations. I did like the submission style that was going throughout the match. I like the fact as well that Miro was kind of welcoming on as well to try and take the shots from Bryan Danielson, saying he could take it. He was definitely carrying injuries going into this match. He was sort of selling his leg as well. But as we got towards the finish of this match, now the Redeemer, of course, before said he had a weak neck, and of course he took it looked to be a DDT spot from the sort of the second rope, it seemed to be, into the canvas. And then as Daniel Bryan went to put on the guillotine, the referee Audrey Edwards immediately called off. It was almost like a technical knockout rather than a submission submission victory, which, to be fair, it was a different finish, but I think when you got the sort of big pop from the big move, there wasn't really any time to sort of digest that this guillotine had been put on to give the either submission victory or the knockout victory. It was a bit of a sort of, again, a bit of an abrupt finish, but overall, hope nobody's hurt, hope Miro is fine. I haven't heard of anything since this, so yeah, I think this was the designed finish. But looking at it, Bryan Danielson, when he goes on to then become the #1 contender, I can see him going for that championship. Perhaps that the winter is coming. Edition of Dynamite, which should be coming at some point in December, and yeah, it's going to be awesome to see Bryan Danielson go for the AEW World Championship. Next, match 4 was my second favourite match of the entire evening, and wow, what a Falls Count Anywhere match we watched, with Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus and Christian Cage defeating the super click of Adam Cole, baby, and the Young Bucks. Now, there's so many spots in this match, it is impossible to remember everything, but I'm going to give a few of them off the top of my head, and you just need to make some time, come out and watch this match, because it's absolutely fantastic. Christian diving off the balcony, and like I say, it goes absolutely everywhere. This goes in ring, around the ring, up the sort of rampway as well. We see the likes of the Panama Sunrise being done on the stage. We see the BTE trigger done a freeway with thumbtacks attached to the knee pads there. We see Luchasaurus doing like a shooting star press off the rampway onto the floor. It's just incredible, breathtaking stuff. There's not a moment's rest here. These guys literally gave hell for like 20 minutes, but the sort of storyline narrative, it kind of was really nice how it sort of played into the finish, because everyone sort of wiped out after Luchasaurus did that shooting star press sort of move, and we saw a spot earlier in the match where Jungle Boy had a chance to do a concerto to Adam Cole, and he hesitated. He wasn't had that in him to sort of do such an awful move, and this, of course, it led to more counters being done and led us to further into the match to where we get to this point. And Christian Cage is now in a spot where we can do that to Matt Jackson, and Jungle Boy goes, look, no, I can do this and I will do this. You can see the sort of regret in his head to have to go and do such an action, but he hits that concerto and gets the 1, 2, 3. Not only is this a great match, it's a great result as well, because the babyfaces get over in this instance as well. I think with Matt Jackson taking the pinfall, doesn't do harm to Adam Cole as well, having one of the Young Bucks being pinned here. The Young Bucks have just come off a long tag team title reign, so they can have a break from that sort of championship picture anyway. And with Jungle Boy, the character work, the development there, it gets him to another level. So yeah, this ticked a lot of the boxes for me. I think this was a thoroughly excellent encounter. Next was probably my least favourite match of the night, and definitely one that probably shouldn't have been on this show in my personal opinion. It was Cody and Pac against Malachi Black and Andrade Eliminator. Now, can they coexist was kind of the story sort of going through the match, where we're sort of seeing some blind tags to get people in, the other wrestler or tag team partner being a bit confused and unhappy, and then sort of going out and then just carrying on to the next point in the script where they need to do that again. So yeah, the in-ring action was fine, but this just didn't do a lot for me overall. Cody and Malachi Black brawled on the outside towards the finish, and then we see Pac hitting the Black Arrow from the top rope onto Andrade to get the pinfall victory. All in all, it was okay, nothing special. This could have been cut from the pay-per-view, especially the fact Cash Wheeler come in as well to do an attack after the match as well onto Pac. So yeah, for me, it feels like a Dynamite angle, and I think this should have stuck to Dynamite. It was a bit confusing. I still wonder what, though, could lead with the... if we could get Malachi Black, Andrade and FTR as some sort of faction at some point. What if FTR was to leave the Pinnacle? That certainly would be of some interest to see, because it's kind of all former NXT and WWE guys as well, so that sort of story could be fun to watch on AEW television. But yeah, as for pay-per-view, as for this, just for me, it kind of was a bit of a miss for me rather than a hit. But one thing that certainly was more interesting in the match, if anything, the whole crowd once again booing Cody Rhodes. Yeah, poor guy. But yeah, maybe you can explain to me a bit more in the comments below why you're not a fan of Cody. I kind of was enjoying his babyface run. I do understand he goes away from times, picks up some wins he doesn't need to, but I don't know, perhaps at this point Cody probably does need a heel turn, but he said he's not going to do so. So yeah, we'll have to see how much longer will this continue? Will he be booed for the rest of his career? Time will tell on that one. Next match got a lot of time as well. The AEW Women's World Championship. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, defeating Tate Conte. Was so happy to see Tate Conte get this opportunity, and I thought these two ladies had a great match as well. Told a very good story throughout the match. Also, a lot of big moves at big spots. Tate Conte hitting her finishers a number of times on Britt Baker, and Britt did manage to get out of them. And as well, it felt like as well that Tate was able to counter a lot of the times that Britt was trying to do some of her big moves, but there was a couple of spots where I thought this match should have finished a bit earlier than what it did. One of them being the curb stop on the steps. I don't see how you get up after that, especially when a second one is then hit in ring. That was a bit weird for me. I think it should have finished there, but we kind of got another couple of minutes on top of things. Britt Baker trying to put in her finisher with the sort of jaw lock that she puts in. Take on seemed to counter it, again trying to do into a roll-up, was then rolled up herself for the 3 count, and Britt Baker was to retain. But this was a very good match. I think that both ladies got a good number of spots in. Again, the numbers advantage for Britt Baker gave her that edge. I do wonder why Andrade wasn't around ringside, and arguably Thunder Rosa could have been around there also, because she was involved in that program on the last episode of Dynamite, and perhaps then they could have started perhaps a program with Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa going into the next pay-per-view. But hey, maybe I'm nitpicking. It was a very good match overall, and yeah, definitely one I recommend to go and check out. Next was the shortest match on the show, but you know what? Sometimes less is more. It was one of my favourites. It was CM Punk against Eddie Kingston. I really enjoyed this match, particularly the story about it as well, because it wasn't like these wrestling matches we've seen CM Punk have so far. This was a pure on fight. Eddie Kingston hitting his finisher before the match even started. CM Punk bleeding early into the match as well. And I love the story as well it tells of CM Punk also becoming what he hated as well, hitting John Cena's almost his 5 moves of doom as well, paying homage to John. I liked how that was done, and how it almost feels like Eddie Kingston is that guy that Punk was 10 years ago, to the point that there was portions of the crowd that actually were booing CM Punk. I thought that was really well told. But in the end, CM Punk hitting his GTS to pick up the victory. Does go to show the sportsmanship after the match as well, showing a handshake, but Eddie Kingston once again refusing it. It's almost like he's becoming Stone Cold Steve Austin-esque. I'm really loving the character development of this match, and CM Punk also reacting to a few boos from the crowd as well. Is the reunion tour coming to an end? Are we going to get some more meaningful purpose for CM Punk going forward? Will he remain face for now? Will it start a turn towards a heel in a few months' time? We'll have to wait and see. And what next for Eddie Kingston? Was he going towards the heel side, or is he becoming sort of that anti-rebel that fans love? For me, this ticked a lot of the boxes. I absolutely love this. Next, we had the Inner Circle against Men of the Year and American Top Team. What can only be described as the most polite street fight I've ever seen. There was tags galore at the first half of this match, but once you got into the street fight mode, goodness, it was street fight galore. There was some crazy spots going on and some fun weapons as well. We've seen like the hockey stick being used and an American football being thrown around. It was like a bun tray, which the commentary were going on about as well. And we see Sammy Guevara take an insane swanton bomb spot from the top of a really high ladder through a table as well. That was really fun to watch. But as we get towards the end of the match, Chris Jericho and Dan Lambert were left in the ring together, and Chris Jericho paying homage to Eddie Guerrero. A few Eddie Guerrero spots have been done through the night, but here we saw the Three Amigos and the Frog Splash done for the pinfall victory. It was fun for what it was, but this program needs to finish now for me. We need to see them go on to separate things, because it was fun while it lasted, but I don't think this has any more mileage as a storyline for me. And I want to see as well Sammy Guevara go back to defending the TNT Championship on a more regular basis, and we know we're going to get that on Dynamite this coming Wednesday, because Sammy Guevara has got a brand new challenger and someone that's new to the company now that is All Elite. That's right, the first person has left Ring of Honor and has joined All Elite Wrestling, and arguably one of Ring of Honor's biggest names as well in Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal is now All Elite, signing with the company, a 20-year veteran. It's good to see him in this spot, and to tell you what, some people have come in and had a great spot starting going for the TNT Championship, even in a losing effort. You've only got to look at the likes of Ricky Starks, Eddie Kingston, even Bobby Fish, who recently has just come in, has got himself a nice little spot on the AEW roster after failing initially losing to Sammy Guevara in a TNT Championship match. But what could be very interesting is if Jay Lethal wins the championship on his first match as well. Someone from Ring of Honor coming in and making a big spread straight away would possibly even open the door for a couple more names to come in as well, and see if they could make even, I don't know, an ROH kind of takeover in that sort of style of storyline. Would be interested to see how it would play out. But Jay Lethal is All Elite anyway. I think it's a great signing for them. It's one I expected. I did a predictions video on where I think certain Ring of Honor talents would go. I could only see Jay Lethal going to AEW. Of course, he was a part of the original All In show they did a number of years ago, so it'd be interesting what he's going to bring to the roster. I do hope that it'll be a successful stay for Jay Lethal in All Elite Wrestling. Last but not least then, of course, was the AEW World Championship, the main event of the evening, the 2-year storyline of Hangman Adam Page, and it was played perfectly as part of his entrance as well, riding on a horse outside the Target Center. And we're seeing clips as well through the journey we had where Hangman lost to Chris Jericho, of course the sort of tag team and the breakup with the World Eliminator tournament with Kenny Omega as well. And now we see that this match is played out here for this evening. It was great how that was put together. Really enjoyed that, and the match itself was decent. Really some cool looking spots, but a lot of the main drama comes in towards the end of the match. Of course, Hangman and Adam Page going for the buckshot lariat, and Kenny Omega pulling the referee in the way to take that shot instead of him. At that point, we see Don Callis getting into the ring with the AEW World Championship. It's sort of more of a distraction more than anything. He gets punched for his troubles, but Kenny Omega does look like he wants to take advantage as well, but instead is hit with a dead eye. Audrey Edwards comes running out for the pinfall. It's 1-2 kick out. At this point then, we see the Young Bucks look like they're making their way to the ring. Of course, if you'd watched Rampage, you'd see that Hangman made an apology to them for what happened previously and said if you get involved in this match, well, basically I'll make your life an absolute misery. Many speculated and wondered if Hangman and Page would be the one to kick out of the one-winged angel. Instead, no, it was Kenny Omega who did that because the own move was used against him by Hangman. There was a kick out there at the count of 2. Hangman goes to the outside of the ring, and it looks like Nick Jackson is deciding, should I get involved, should I not get involved? He sort of contemplates it at one point, decides not to. We see a buckshot lariat hit from Hangman to Kenny Omega to the back of the head, which knocks him down, and then Hangman goes to the other side of the ring where Matt Jackson is, and then we see them both look at each other, and then what was perfectly done for story narrative as well, Matt Jackson kind of giving the nod of approval of like, do it, I'm not going to get involved here. We see him hit the buckshot lariat, and then we see the pinfall 1, 2, 3, and the biggest pop I think I can remember here of quite a while, Hangman Adam Page becoming the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And yeah, really cool to see this. So first off, it's the culmination of a 2-year story, something that we've been waiting to see for a long time as fans, and it's time, it's the right time for Hangman Adam Page to have that championship. And there's many different directions you can go forward with Hangman after this, and I'm really excited to see how his title run is going to go in All Elite Wrestling. But also the big question is then, what happens with the Elite? Because, well, the Young Bucks didn't help Kenny Omega. The Good Brothers are not around anymore because they're back in Impact doing their thing solely in Impact. So will there be complications now with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega? Have the Young Bucks gone to turn babyface after this? Where does Adam Cole fit within with all of this as well? Because Bobby Fish and him have kind of been almost ticking along on the same page. There's rumours with Kyle O'Reilly's contract expiring. You know what, I'm wondering if we could get the Elite either break up or all go babyface, and Adam Cole breaks away from the group and we see them against the Undisputed Era. There was an Undisputed tag used with Adam Cole during the show as well. There's a lot of questions coming out for it, and I think that makes you really excited to see what's going to happen with the next show. So all in all, I think this was a very good show. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think if this show had sort of taken the Cody match out of things completely, and a few of the matches were a couple of minutes shorter in places, and we knocked this down to like a 3.5 hour show, I think we could have given this a home run 10 out of 10. But overall, I still think it was an absolutely brilliant pay-per-view. I recommend people go and check it out. And yeah, that was my review of AEW Full Gear 2021. If you like this video, then please hit the like button and subscribe as well if you haven't already. Almost at 1,400 subscribers. Would love to hit that milestone. And let me know your thoughts of Full Gear in the comments below. I look forward to interacting with you. Do you agree with my opinions? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below right now. But that's all for me. Thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good one. And I'll be back for my Q&A later on today. All the best.